Pastor B. And if you are watching me right now, you are viewing my very first show. Yay! And I want to stop and take the opportunity to thank you so much for tuning in. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself, what you can expect from my show, and then I'm going to bring out my very first guest. But right now, come on and let me take my seat. Again, thank you so much for tuning in to Balanced Living with Pastor B. Now get used to seeing these two babies. These are my tablets. And I did not want to be reading a screen, nor did I want to have cue cards in my hand. So I'm going to use my tablets. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. I was born and bred right here in the city of Meridian, Mississippi. Can anything good come out of Mississippi? You doggone right. I have 8 angels. I have 3 adult children, and I have 5 grandbabies. Now, I know you're probably saying, well, if they're adults, they're not children, but they'll always be my children. I have 2 daughters, and I have 1 son. My daughters are Octavia and Olivia. My son is Jamez. My 5 grandbabies, the oldest 4, are the inspiration behind my boutique's name. My boutique is 4Z Boutique, the number 4 and the letter Z. And my boutique, you can view it, the different clothing from my boutique on Instagram or on Facebook. Again, 4Z Boutique. My 4 grandbabies, the oldest 4 names begin with the letter Z. You have Zion, my firstborn, the first Zion I've ever known other than the Bible. He is a senior this year. It's hard for me to believe that I have a grandchild that is a senior. So you have Zion, Zorian, Zamarian, and the only little girl of the 4Z is Zariah. And then came Heaven. My youngest granddaughter's name is Heaven. Now, I am the pastor right here of Love City Meridian. And the reason I say Love City Meridian, because you have Love City Starkville, Mississippi, Love City Birmingham, Alabama, and Love City Selma, Alabama. So I am the pastor right here, Love City Meridian, Mississippi. I am the executive administrator and the CFO, or the chief financial officer, right here of Bonds of Love Ministry. Bonds of Love is the umbrella from which all of our church locations and our businesses follow. Now, I want to tell you why I chose the title Balanced Living, because my outreach ministry is called BAM, B-A-M. It stands for Betty Alford Ministries, but it also stands for Balance Anchored Ministry. Balance and anchored in Christ Jesus. Now, most people think that balance is only here, which is an even distribution. Is that too? But you're never always up, you're never always down, it's never always hot, it's never always cold, it's never always sunshine, and it's never always raining. You take the good with the bad, put them together, and it balances out one's life. And it's my objective on this new talk show to show you how to live a balanced life. But right now, I want to stop and pause and tell you to subscribe. If you're watching me on YouTube, then I want you to subscribe and then hit the notification bell and hit all so that you can view all of my shows. If you're watching me on Facebook, then I want you to share it, to like it, tag people in it. I will be coming on every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Central Time. Now I'm going to tell you a little bit about what you can actually expect from my show. Now, I first want you to know that this is not a preaching show. This would not just be preaching. Now, I believe it was a Prego commercial, the spaghetti commercial one time that said, is in there. So I'm sure the word of God is going to come out because it's in there. But this would not be a preaching show. You have to come and visit me at my location to actually hear me preach. But this would not be a preaching show. This is a church of balance. A show of balance. So I want you all to tune in. I'm non-traditional. I'm non-religious. So understand that this show is not just a preaching show. It's not a preaching show at all, rather. This show will be informative, inspirational, encouraging, and most of all, I hope that it's empowering and fun so that you can come back every week and tune in. Now, I believe that everyone can live a balanced life in every area of life, physically, financially, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and socially. So I'm going to give you some of the areas in those categories where I'm going to be talking about on my show. First, financially. After doing budgets with people, I realized it's not that people don't make enough money. It's what they do with the money that they make. Most people spend too much or they eat out too much. So it's not that they don't make enough money. After doing budgets, I really realized that people were just mishandling money. I'm going to show you how to actually balance that out. I want to show you that God is not against us having money. He's just only against money having us. So tune in. These will be different shows. I want to show you that getting and receiving should not be your motive for giving. It should be a benefit of giving, not your motive for giving. For getting, I want you to see that it's a benefit. Getting and receiving should not be your motive for giving. It's a benefit of giving. Then I'm going to show you the keys of prosperity. Under physically, I'm going to show you that the number one thing I found out about physical is you need to know your body type. My body type is ectomorph. You have ectomorph, you have endomorph, and then you have mesomorph. So I'm going to show you that the number one thing is to learn what your body type is. I went on, for 30 days, I ate right, but I did not cut out any meats. I did not cut out any sweets. I ate them moderately, but I did not cut out any meats. I did not cut out any sweets. I ate in the day and at night. Most people tell you don't eat after 7, but I want to show you how to balance your physical being. If you listen to what people tell you, before long, you won't be eating nothing. I ate all dairy, and I lost about 11 pounds. So I want to show you how to physically balance your life. Emotionally, most people say that women are just emotional. No, everyone is emotional. If you touch what a person loves, you'll see some emotion. Touch a man's car after he just washed it, and you'll see how emotional he can get. Touch a man's child that he loves so much, and you'll see how emotional he can get. Why? Because everyone is emotional about something. Mentally, now one of the main goals I feel during this pandemic, the enemy's main objective is to exhaust us mentally. Some people are fearful. Some people are thinking the world is about to come to an end. No, the world is not about to come to an end. There's too much for us to do. But he's trying to exhaust us mentally. I want to show you how to get a grip on your mind. Most people say that Job lost everything. I believe Job lost his cattle, his children, his health, and his wealth. But I don't believe that Job lost his mind. How do you know? I believe he lost some peace, but I don't believe he lost his mind. How do you know? Because he kept his faith and said, I won't charge God foolishly. After everything was going on, he did not blame God or charge God foolishly. So I want to show you how to get a grip on your mind, show you how to move past memories that haunt you, where the incident is over, but you still feel the pain. That's mentally. Socially, now everything has gone to social media. If you're not on some form of social media, you need to be on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, some form of social media, because most everyone has joined social media platform. Just recently, Chadwick Bozeman passed of colon cancer. And on social media, there were a lot of people that were saying some ugly and some mean things in regards to him. And no one knew for over 4 years that he even had colon cancer in the public. That should be a lesson to us, how to keep your business to yourself. But they talked about him so badly, and he did not say a word. He did not retaliate at all, which tells me he still died a hero. They were calling him Crack Panther instead of Black Panther, and he did not say a word. So I'm going to show you how to navigate through social media. Spiritually, I'm going to show you how to have faith in God, but that faith in God is not enough. I know some of you been believing God for so many different things, and you've been asking and you've been wondering, where is it? When is it coming? Because faith, even though the Bible tells us that without faith it's impossible to please God, faith is not enough to get your stuff. Just tune in. That'll be a good show. I'm going to show you why You shouldn't argue with people about being a Christian, about being a believer. The best way to show people that you are a Christian is to allow them to keep watching you being successful. You don't have to say a word. Some people don't even deserve an answer. You definitely don't deserve to argue with them. But the best way to handle critics is to let them watch you continue to be successful. You wonder why so many people are in mental institutions today? Because they gave somebody a piece of their mind. Apostle always said they probably should have kept that little piece. So I'm going to show you a threefold ministry. Most people in the church know about fivefold ministry. Fivefold ministry is apostle, prophet, evangelist, pastor, and teacher. But threefold ministry is you can have a person that is spiritual, gifted, but yet flawed. That's going to be a good show. I'm going to show you that you don't have to, or you shouldn't have to strive to be famous or popular or to be rich. You should strive to be purposeful. The major key to success, I'm going to give you that. And one of the major keys to success is serving. Who are you serving? Servanthood is one of the major keys to success. I'm going to show you how believing in God and trusting God are totally two different things. Believing him, the devils believe, the Bible says, and tremble. And most people believe God, but do you actually trust him? I'm going to show you how sinning will keep you from the word, but the word also will keep you from sinning. Show you how no gain is made without some type of loss. No gain is made without some type of loss. Show you how you can be looking and still not see. I'm going to say that again. Show you how you can be looking and still not see. You know how you in a room with a lot of people and they say, she looked right past me and didn't even speak. She probably was looking but did not see you. So you can be looking and still not see. I'm going to show you just because you're moving does not mean that you're going in the right direction. And just because you're doing a good thing does not mean it's God. To show you that there are people that are going to hell with a smile on their face, and you need to be okay with their choice. All of this is about balance. I'm going to show you that the largest room in the world, anybody know what the largest room in the world is? The largest room in the world is the room for improvement. I'm going to show you that you can be sincere, but still sincerely wrong. On this show, I'm going to show you that your mind is never on break. You're either focusing on the things of God or you're worried on the cares of this life. So all of these things I'm going to be talking about in the show. I'm going to show you, or I'm going to answer a question that somebody asked me, should Christians have tattoos? We see a lot of people that have tattoos, but should a Christian get a tattoo? I'm going to answer the question, can the LGBTQ, and I think there's some more letters added now, can they go to heaven? Can the LGBTQ go to heaven? And some of you don't even believe in heaven, so that show might not even be for you. But for some people want to know that. I'm going to show you about relationships, how to balance out your relationships. And I know you're probably saying, well, you're single. That's not just the only relationship with you and a spouse, but I am single again. I was single, married, separated, divorced, and I'm single again. And I can actually show you a little some about being single. And the funny thing about it is, my ex-husband and I now are very good friends. He still cooks for me. Isn't that something? So I have a little something that I can show you. Now, I also want to let you know that on this show, my show, they say that people's attention span is only about 20 minutes. So I'm going to try and limit my shows to about 30 minutes. I'm not a long-winded preacher either. So I'm going to try and limit my shows to about 30 minutes, give or take a little over sometime, a little under. But I'm going to bring out my very first guest right now. After that, then I'm going to let you know that, again, we want you to subscribe. I want you to subscribe to my channel on YouTube and on Facebook. But right now, I'm going to pause. I'm going to bring out my first guest. We're going to be talking about the pandemic. We're going to be talking about the election and some different things. So I'm going to ask you right now, wherever you are, I'm going to stand, but I'm going to ask you to tune in and stay focused. As I receive this first guest, I thought it was only befitting for me to ask my own pastor to come to be my very first guest. My pastor is none other than Apostle Lamorris Richardson. He is also the founder and the visionary of Bonds of Love Ministries. He's also the pastor of Love City, Starkville, Mississippi. So come on and help me welcome my very first guest to Balanced Living with Pastor B. Hello, Apostle.
Hello, God bless you.
Thank you for being my guest.
Glad to be here.
Thank you so much.
Excited about the show.
I am too. We have quite a bit to get into, and the first topic I want to talk about is the pandemic. I'm going to tell you what I think. I believe that what God gave me from the very beginning, the word of God that he gave me, that the land was suffering because of greed, and that the greed now is being judged. I believe that still to this day, that the reason that we're in this pandemic is because God is judging the land of greed. I don't believe that this is the hand of the enemy. I first thought it was, but I believe that God is using all of this to actually judge greed in the land. But I do believe that God is still in control, and I say this all the time. You don't have to understand what he's doing, just survive it. What are your thoughts on the pandemic?
The pandemic, wow. So much I believe God is doing through the pandemic, and I think a lot of the body of Christ has missed what God is doing, and we're focused so much on the virus, so much on the sickness, so much on some death, until I think we've missed some other things that I think God is doing through the pandemic. Number one, I agree with you. I think the pandemic is God's way of calling the whole earth into order, into balance. I think we have overdid it with money.
I agree.
Politically, economically, the world itself, the church. For a good while, the church, all of our messages either started with money, ended with money, or were about money. And it was out of balance because we left some of our basic core teaching, basic core beliefs, and it was a run for the money. I know over the years, if I've tried to invite certain guests and bring certain people into the ministry, for one while, it was hard to get anybody, because instead of talking about the ministry and what a person could bring to help the ministry, the whole conversation was about money. So I think that's the first thing. God is judging greed in the world, politically, and in the church. Second thing I believe the pandemic is doing is the pandemic, sometimes when God is trying to push the church in a certain direction, we're so stuck in our past, our religion, the way we've done things, until he can't get us to do it. He can't get us to change. So I think the pandemic was God's way of abruptly stopping our old system. He just brought the whole system to a close. He stopped it. Right now, every preacher, everywhere, God put us all on the same level. There's no big preacher. There's no little preacher. Everybody's using Facebook, YouTube, and Zoom. God took all of the politics, all of the big eyes and little U's out of the ministry, and it gave us common ground. The last thing I believe God is doing, I believe right now he's preparing the church that he really wants to present to the world.
Okay.
So those that God is going to use in this next season, they feel a certain need to get ready, to get prepared, because they sense, they know that God's about to do something he's never did before, and we must now prepare ourselves in all ways to be used by him.
That's very good. Now, what do you think about banking? I believe that the Lord is going to judge banking. First of all, you said that everyone, we know that this is not just the United States of America. This is the land, everywhere, the earth. So we know that the only person that has the ability to do that is God. I believe that the banks that we put our money in,
Yes.
now, weekly put our money in a bank, and then when we go to try and get money out of bank, the same bank, or we wanted to find out about the SBA information that was going on, those same banks won't even give you information after you've been banking with them for so long. What you got to say about that?
Yes. I tell churches all the time, don't assume that because you put your money in a place that they're for you.
Oh, that's good.
One of the reasons that God is dealing right now with this money issue is because a lot of the corruptness that has gone on as it relates to money has been through the banking system.
I agree.
Predatory lending, prejudicial lending, one criteria for one group of people, another
Absolutely.
criteria for another group.
Absolutely.
You get two people who's got the same credit score.
Yes.
One gets a loan, the other doesn't get the loan.
Absolutely.
And when you figure out why they didn't get the loan, it's based on skin color or where they live. When you talk about a lot of there's a term they use when you try to channel all people of certain color to a certain neighborhood. So if you're trying to move into what they call a upper class neighborhood, you don't get the loan because you're trying to move somewhere that you don't belong. The banking system is in many ways is very unfair. And what I've been telling churches over the last 4 to 5 years is find a bank, find a institution that believes in you, believes in what you're doing, and that's where you invest your money. Doesn't believe they're going to get with you on everything, but they will work with you. When a bank appreciates you, they will work with you on the things you're doing, and they will appreciate your business as much as you appreciate theirs. And one of the things the body of Christ has to do is, we have to get out of this thing of just, going along people because we got our money in that place. And a lot of times, let's say if you're building a church, they want to put a sign in your front yard and all that. I tell people, when you borrow money, they're not giving you that money.
That's right.
They're charging you for that money.
Right.
So you don't have to give away your front lawn unless they want to give a considerable donation to the ministry. But you don't have to give away your front lawn, advertise them, because you advertise them when they're giving you money. But if you loaning me money and charging me for it, I don't owe you as vertebrates in my front yard.
I agree. I'm going to shift gears right here on the schooling. And the reason I'm doing
Schooling, Lord.
because of my grandchildren. Now, I believe that they're trying to rush these children back to school too soon. And I'm thinking that it's because the president said something about they won't get federal funding. Now, I believe that you don't have to like the person in office. I respect the office.
Yes.
I'll say that. I respect
correct.
the office. I might not agree with the man, but I do respect the office.
Yes.
But I don't agree that they should be forcing the children to go back to school because they want federal funding. Now, if anybody know of anybody that can homeschool my grandbabies that are good, just hit me up. Put it down in the comments. I wish that I had someone that could homeschool them, but I don't think that they're taking into consideration the safety of the children. What do you think?
Well, we're back at money. The reason there's such a push to get the schools open is because the schools are trying to get funding. And the reason that the government is trying to rush the students back is because if kids don't go to school, mama doesn't go to work. So we got to push mama back to work. The way we get mom and dad back to work is push the kids back to the school. This still is money-based, money-driven. It's all about that mean green. And it is one of the reasons I believe we are in this pandemic. I think the pandemic could have been over a couple of months ago.
Okay.
But at the time that we should have sheltered down, stayed at home, isolated, got free from the
They
virus,
open things back up.
we rushed everything back open because of money.
Yeah.
And when a country says, in God we trust, and really we trust in the money, God will at some point judge the land.
Okay.
Did I do good with
you
that?
You did very good with that. Let's talk about cryptocurrency or Bitcoin. And the only thing I know about it is that it's a digital medium of exchange. But I know that you do shares and all of this, and you're into all of this. I want you to tell me exactly what is Bitcoin.
Okay, without getting too deep, because it could take up a lot of time, this is the simplest way for me to put this.
Okay.
Every country has its own currency. In the United States, our currency is dollars, cents.
Other places, euros.
Okay. Other places, euros, yens. So every country has its own currency. The blockchain, or what they call cryptocurrency, is a digital currency that can be used by all countries at the same time,
Wow.
because it's not a national currency, it's a digital currency. So anybody can use it. It is thought that over the next several years, cryptocurrency will replace what we now call money. If you notice, everything now, they're getting everybody used to paying for things with their phones, with their tablets. Well, that's leading us somewhere.
Think that's getting ready for the mark of the beast?
It could be, yes. One thing the Bible says about the mark of the beast is that no man will be able to spend or buy or sell, without accepting that mark. So it's a digital currency that can be used anywhere. Many stores are now accepting Bitcoins for purchases. When you go online, you'll see you can pay with credit card, you can pay, and then Bitcoins are down there. So it's becoming a currency, and it is predicted, those that trade stocks and are in the open market, it's being predicted that this is going to revolutionize money, and I'm talking about over the next 5-10 years, it should take over. So it's a digital currency that can be used across the world at any time, and it's set up where you can't hide your identity.
Okay.
A person don't have to. Right now, if I make you a loan, I have to let you bring me certain stuff to identify who you are. But once you take on this digital currency, then you'll be able to walk into a place, give your number. They can just punch in the number, and they know everything they need to know about you to make that transaction.
Okay, that's very good.
Did I help?
I knew you would know all about that. All right, let's get into the election. We know that we're about to go into a presidential election, and I don't think that you have to agree with the president, whomever is in office, but I do believe you need to exercise your right to vote. Most people don't say, oh, they're going to do whatever they want to do anyway. It don't make no difference if we vote or not. I believe two things. First, I believe that too many people lost their lives for us to vote. Our ancestors and different ones stood in lines for a long time, and people lost their lives, not just black people, lost their lives for us to have the right to vote. And then I believe that you can't say, oh, I'm just going to believe God. The Christians say, I'm just going to believe God, and God going to do it. I'm trusting in the Lord. That's just like saying, I'm going to believe God for a job, but never go and put in any applications anywhere. You're just sitting at home, and you believe in God. No, you got to do your part. And then God will do his, then trust God, but you got to at least go and do your part. Faith without what? Works is dead. Yes. So you've got to do your part. You can't just sit at home and say, well, they're going to do whatever they want to do. I believe we should exercise our right to vote. What's your thoughts?
Number one, this is the most important election I believe, since I have been in the world. I think it's just that important. There's been a lot of marching. There's been a lot of protesting. There's been lives given. There's been paintings. You got murals have been pointed in the streets. We have been angry at the police, angry at the government. We've marched in front of the White House. Citizens have been killed. Police officers have been killed. But if we don't translate all of this vigor into votes at the poll,
Right.
it's all in vain. If voting, and people say, well, I don't vote, or voting doesn't change anything, this thing you hear, but if it doesn't change at the ballot, it's not going to change.
Okay.
Well, you can run them down the road and holler and complain, and you can get out in front of the White House and try to break through the fence and all that. But if you don't go to the polls and vote, it's all in vain. Nothing changes by protest alone. It changes when you go to the ballot and you show you have the power to put up one and take down another. Then your vote matters.
Right.
Your protest matters. But if we're just going to holler and fuss and complain and then not go vote, and the same people get back in office, then we'll be doing this same thing for the next 4 years, because nothing changes until we vote.
I agree. And I still believe God is going to do his part. And I tell people that, nobody elected God and nobody can impeach him. So I know that he can do his part. But we need to exercise our right to vote. That is so important. I'm admonishing everyone that is a registered voter to please go out and vote. And I'm not just talking about for the president. Our local election is coming up next year, I believe, for our mayor's mayoral election and different things in the city here. I think that we should go out and exercise our right to vote. So it is very important.
We control what happens on the local level, the state level,
We the people.
and the federal level, the people. We control that. We control that by, number one, lifting our voice, but number two, the most powerful tool that we've ever been given is the right to vote, to pick our leaders. And nobody can take that from you.
That's right.
I don't care how many hurdles they try to put in front of you. I've watched, we as blacks, I've watched us, if we want to go on some trip, I've watched us get the money, find a way to get there. I remember back years ago, we used to go to this midnight musical down in Memphis at our Holy Convocation. And we were just little poor kids, from the neighborhood. But we found a way to get to the midnight musical, found a way to, it might not have been but one room. We all stayed in one room, but we found a way. We made it work. We found a way to get it done.
Right.
I don't care what kind of hurdles they put up. I hear all this stuff about, mail-in ballots or going up and to me, these are lazy excuses.
Yes.
They're doing things because they feel like we're lazy and we're not going to put forth the effort to make our vote count. But I don't care if you got to drive down to the courthouse or whether you got to go down there now and get a ballot and fill it out and put it back in the mail. Right. Whatever you got to do, nobody can stop you from voting. And then if you wait around to the last minute and then you're complaining because you can't get in the poll, you shouldn't get in the poll.
Right.
If you know someone's trying to trip you up, don't walk into the trap. So we got to rise up. We got to be angry with the predicament we're in. If we're really mad about George Floyd, vote.
That's right.
If we're really mad about Breonna, vote. If we're really mad, what's the young man down in Florida that the guy,
The latest one that got shot is Jacob. He didn't
die
though.
The first guy, where the guy was following the guy around the neighborhood, and shot him down.
Trayvon Martin.
Trayvon Martin. We're really mad about that. Vote. No, vote these folk out of office. You know, but we'll complain, and then the same folk complain, and we ain't going to vote, and then you say, well, why you didn't vote? Because they're going to do what they want to do. Well, the only tool you got to stop them from doing what they want to do is to vote.
And you know, an excuse sounds good to the one who makes it.
Yes. Right here in Meridian, in our city, we had 90% African Americans in the city limits, and for years we were voting in white officials. And it's just been the last 8 years that we've changed where enough of us went to the poll to make a difference. Well, that's nobody else's fault, that's our fault. And if we don't get the changes we want in this November election, it's not anybody else's fault. We need to rise up and go to the poll. We have the power and we have the numbers to make a difference if we'll rise up and vote.
I agree. Now,
can I say one more thing?
You sure can.
And don't take for granted. Now, a lot of people think our president is dumb and ignorant. Our president is not dumb and he's not ignorant. By no means. And
he's calculated.
He's calculated, and he plays this game better than most of the Democrats do. And things we think he doesn't know what he's doing, he knows exactly what he's doing because he is very skillful at shaping people's opinion. And if we don't rise up and do our part, we're going to be shocked because a month or so from now, he'll be going back in the office. We'll be standing around with a gaze on face asking how he does it because he has planned his work and he works his plan very, very well.
And that's what he does on every rally.
Every rally.
When he's talking on the rally,
yes,
people say, oh, he ignites fear, he ignites fear, he ignites fear. But what he's doing is he's appeasing to the people that their emotions and the ones that he knows is going to rise up with him.
That's right.
He's calculating it all.
Yes, he is.
But I want to end on education for us. I believe that we should educate ourselves and don't be ignorant of the devices that's going on locally, nationally, and internationally. And I don't believe that we understand that people are afraid of you when you're educated, when you're knowledgeable, when you can make something happen yourself. Tyler Perry is a very good example of when Hollywood did not accept him. Then he made his own money, he built his own studio, and now he called his own shots. And what we need to do is educate ourselves on how to navigate here in our own cities and wherever else we're going, whatever platform, that's what I'm trying to say, whatever platform we have. It's hard to beat somebody that knows what they're doing and how educated and skillful they are behind it. So what are your thoughts on us educating ourselves on what needs to take place after we come out of this pandemic?
After the pandemic? Wow. One of the things I think is going to happen is after the pandemic, I've been trying to warn the body of Christ, there's going to be a strong clampdown on money. We're fixing to go into if it was the Bible, it would be a famine. The people that are going to be okay with this are people that have the wisdom to know how to survive and make money after this. And let me show you how important this is. Most of us in our community, we try to become wealthy by working. In the white community, they become wealthy by playing the stock market. Most of our community knows nothing about the stock market. We don't know how to play it. We don't know what it is. You follow me? We don't know what a bid is. We don't know what a short sale is. We don't know. I could go on. So we have to educate ourselves as to how the world makes money. And we've been taught so long to go get a job, go get a job, go get a job. But every one of us has a gift. We have a talent.
Yes.
We have a hustle. There's something we know how to do. And then that gift, that talent is for you to put it into practice because it will bring you wealth. So this is that season where a lot of the jobs they're telling us about coming back, they ain't coming.
They're not coming back, no. And speaking of that, 3 of my favorite stores have closed. You have Steinmark that closed down. You have Trees and Trends in Hattiesburg, one of my stores closed down. You have Pier 1 that been closed down. And I think all of them filed bankruptcy. And most people think, oh, they filed bankruptcy. But they're smart.
Yes.
These companies are smart.
Yes.
They'll file bankruptcy, get the money, and then do something completely different. And not that they're not going to rebrand.
That's right.
But they know now in the pandemic it's best for me to get this money,
Yes.
file bankruptcy. We don't think like that because we think bankruptcy is terrible.
Yeah. Right after this pandemic first hit, I preached a couple of series of sermons, and one thing I talked to churches about, I began to warn churches that a lot of ministries, if you're already struggling, you may not make it through this pandemic. And I talked about how that some ministries, if you're struggling and you're the resource, you may need to merge. Now that's what the people on Wall Street, they're not going to sit there and try to keep something going that's not profitable. They're either going to file bankruptcy. Now they'll try to talk you bad about filing bankruptcy, make you think you're the lowest thing in the earth. But Macy's and all the stores you name, all of them are filing bankruptcy right now because they're not going to lose all their money trying to keep a building.
That's right.
And then society try to make you think she filed bankruptcy. Bankers will try to make you feel guilty. They do it all the time.
All the time.
I know guys of the other color that filed bankruptcy and went and bought a pickup truck the next week.
Come on now.
But they'll try to make you think you're the lowest thing in earth if you file bankruptcy. That is the way business operates. What's happening right now? Business emerging. Right now, you got a company called Oracle. Then you've got Microsoft and another company. All of them are fighting over this Chinese company called TikTok.
Okay.
And it's a big bidding war going on over who's going to get that company. Well, they're not going to go out of business. When the money gets tight and it's not working, they're either going to sell, they're going to file bankruptcy, they're going to do what they need to do to get back in position. Pastors, Lord have mercy.
Talk about it.
We can be in a church, we don't make enough to pay the bills, we're not getting paid. You're rushing, trying to keep the lights put on the light bill date every month. And in the name of the Lord, in the name of what God called me to do, we'll just keep struggling with that month after month after month because it never dawns on us. Maybe I'm not supposed to be number one. Maybe the reason this is not working is because I'm supposed to be working with someone else and it would end my struggle.
Yes.
But we get in our mind God called us, and even though God's not paying for it, see, I believe anything God calls for, he pays for.
If he ordered, he paid for it.
I don't believe God calls for something, and then you're struggling having to pay your own personal money, personal rent, personal car note to keep it running.
But see, now that's going to be another show.
That's another show.
That's gonna be
if
a show.
God called for it,
Yeah.
and he told me if I didn't provide for my family,
I'm going to bring you back on that show.
I'm worse than an infidel. Now, he said if I don't provide for my family, I'm worse than an infidel. So what would that make him if he don't provide for his?
When I get on finances, I'm gonna bring you on back on that show. Then but I think that you'll be my guest for quite some time. We're in the pandemic now.
Okay.
Okay, we're 6 feet away.
That's right.
We work together, so we in the pandemic. You're gonna be my guest. But I believe that. Well, I'll say this. I don't understand how, not just a pastor, a leader
Yes.
can see themselves struggling, know there's someone that can help them, and won't merge with them. I just went in, I believe is that, what is it, Anders? What's that furniture over there? By, I want to say Hollick Myers. Is it Hollick Myers? It might be Hollick Myers. over there where Joanne's and all of that is. Well, anyway, I just went in there, and they were, looked like the furniture and everything was scarce. Mm-hmm. And I went in for some pictures. And the young lady, I said, boy, the pandemic did this? And she said, no, we're merging. Yeah. She said, we're merging with another company because this store is only, it's not national. Mm-hmm. But the other company is national, and we're merging. I don't understand how the world can do it, corporations can do it, and then you have pastors, leaders, people in businesses selling the same thing. But to say that you got a business and they got a business, and both of you come together and you can have a bigger business.
Well, sometimes, and this is humorous, but sometimes it's as small as somebody want to be able to say, I'm a CEO.
Wow, that is small.
I'm gonna say some guys are fascinated with pastor being in front of their name.
Wow.
It's so trivial that it's funny, but we're suffering because our aces are not in place. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. We have children leading. Mm-hmm. We have people who have not had an experience with God. Now, they're saved, mm-hmm. but they don't have any experience.
Small minds trying to get on big stages.
Yes. Trying to be big when little got them. Mm-hmm. We're battling with that. We're fighting with that. And until it's not important for us to be the head,
yes,
but be part of the body, mm-hmm. we're going to keep suffering with this. Let me use our ministry, this fine facility we're sitting in. I built this. Then after I built it, the Lord told me to turn it over to you. Mm-hmm. That was hard. It was the biggest building I built. It was the nicest building I built. I was proud of my work that I mm-hmm. put into it. You know, a lot of hours. Then I really built it twice because the tornado came and tore it down, and I built it back, improved, but just like it was, I built it back. So I built it twice. Mm-hmm. And but God had so much more for me mm-hmm. that if I didn't give it away, mm-hmm. he wouldn't have been able to take me to the next place. God took, when I moved here back in 1998, God took a little small block building. Sometimes on the show we'll show people a picture of that block building. My goal was to be just a little pastor. I didn't want to be.
My goal wasn't to be a pastor at all.
That's right. I didn't want to. I wasn't trying to be big
at all.
I wasn't trying to be international. Mm-hmm. I watch all these people nowadays. You got a building with 5 people in it, and your sign says
international behind the name.
Voice of Hope International. You ain't never been out of your state. Now, we don't use the term international, mm-hmm. but we actually have built churches internationally. Mm-hmm. But we don't use the name because I feel like if you're really international, you don't have to tell anybody.
You don't have to speak it.
Your work will speak for mm-hmm. you. But I hear all these people with international in their name, and they're a local ministry, local church, and I'm trying to figure out why you so hurried to stick, because it's all image. And I'm telling you, this is what God is trying to tear down. This is what this pandemic is doing. It's killing a lot of false images mm-hmm. where God thought the ministry was all about getting the church and getting rich. Yeah. God's stopping that because that is not what ministry is about. Ministry is about serving people, mm-hmm. finding out what God wants to do in the earth and assisting him in that. Mm-hmm. Ministry is about spending your life to improve somebody else's life. So, back to where I was going, I ended up giving this ministry away. Then God gave me another one, and we gave it away. And he gave us another one, and he gave that away. And then back in 2008, after I'm giving away ministries, people started giving us ministries.
Mm-hmm. That is true.
So it's not about the title or the name. Before I ever accepted the term apostle, Other folk were calling me that. Guys walking to me and said, you know what, man? If I've ever seen anybody with apostolic ministry, you got it. I never just lost out, called myself an apostle. Other people started calling me that before I called myself. Because if you got it, you don't have to tell people you got it. They'll see it.
That's right.
And I think that's where God is bringing us back to. We're coming into a season now where we're not going to have to advertise who we are. Mm-hmm. God's going to put us on display.
Come on. Very good, Apostle.
Yes.
I am so happy that you joined me on my very first show.
I am delighted to be. Let me say this. I'm excited about your show.
I'm excited.
You're well overdue for this.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah, you're late, but my dad used to always say,
not too late.
My dad used to always say it's okay to be late. He preached a sermon that says, late but not too late. And he would say it's all right to be late as long as you're not too late. Too late means it's over. You missed the whole show. But you can show up a little late and you get there in time for the main feature. So I think you're a little late, but you're just in time for what God wants to do.
Well, I'm excited. And I'm going to stop right here. Don't you move, Apostle. I want to ask everyone on YouTube again to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Go to Betty Alford Ministries, plural, Betty Alford Ministries, and you'll see BAM, B-A-M, pink logo, and you'll see my silhouette. Subscribe and hit the notification bell. If you're on Facebook, I need you to like the page and share the page. Go back to the beginning of this show and see some of the things that I'm going to be talking about, how you can balance your life, and you actually see what the show is going to be about. It's going to be really, really good. Again, I am a pastor, but I am non-religious and non-traditional. This would not be no preaching show. We're going to get down into some nitty-gritty. So I need you all to share and like the page. I'm going to be here every Saturday at 10 o'clock in the morning Central Time, and I want you to join me right back here every Saturday. And if you've been watching me, this has been Balanced Living with me, Pastor B, and I'll see you next week. Thank you.